Why would you want to own nothing and control everything? This is in fact the secret to multi-generational wealth. Structure your affairs so that no single individual owns anything and no future heir can do anything that puts more than a minor dent in the family fortune. It may seem like a contradiction, but great family dynasties such as the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and the Vanderbilts, despite controlling billions in assets, legally own nothing. In fact, John D. Rockefeller's grandson coined the phrase that it's best to own nothing and control everything. That's how they guarantee that multi-generational wealth is sustained. The people who created the wealth that founded these dynasties were pretty smart. They knew of all the pitfalls and temptations their heirs would face. They placed their wealth in trusts and foundations. The beauty of this kind of structure is that effectively nobody owns it. The ownership can remain somewhat vague. There can be strict rules against touching the principal and about how and when distributions can be made. Trusts today are used to protect assets and preserve family wealth. When assets are gifted to a trust, you don't legally own them. When you set up a trust for future generations or unidentified charitable distributions, you can control the trustees and decide when any future distributions are made. You remain in control of your assets, but legally you no longer own them. This is what's meant by own nothing, control everything. No creditor or ex-spouse can seize assets owned by the trust, as legally they don't belong to you. This is how the super rich stay rich for generations and pay almost nothing in taxes. Trusts and foundations don't just disguise or hide the ownership of your assets. They change the legal ownership. You can control $1 billion in assets and own nothing. You can live in a house owned by a company that's owned by the trust. The trust can lend you money to cover your living expenses. Having your assets held in an offshore trust will make you immune to any court judgments or other attempts by lawyers to steal what's rightfully yours. If you choose the right jurisdiction to set up your trust, you'll scare away potential legal pursuers before they even get started. If they see that the first layer of your structure is an offshore company, in a jurisdiction hostile to creditors, many pursuers will walk away. When they see that it's owned by an offshore trust in an even more hostile jurisdiction, they will abandon the litigation. Obviously, it's important to make sure you keep control of the assets if you want to own nothing and control everything. Those who conceived offshore trusts and foundations in jurisdictions like the Cook Islands and Panama were very conscious of that, so there are strong provisions to make sure that the founder keeps control. You can have a power of attorney so that you can act on behalf of the trust on a day-to-day basis. You can sign on the bank accounts and buy and sell assets with a power of attorney. The founder can also choose a protector to oversee the working of the foundation or the trust. Legally, the foundation council or trustees can't do much without the authorization of the protector. The protector can be somebody of your choosing, such as a trusted lawyer, accountant, or family member. Complex, multi-jurisdictional structures are best for asset protection. It makes them more difficult to penetrate and easier for you to control. It's best to have a legal structure in one jurisdiction and assets in different countries. You might have a Cook Islands trust at the top of your structure, with a Panamanian company below which owns a Hong Kong company that banks in Singapore. That means that any hostile creditor has to deal with 4 different jurisdictions to even get close to where you are. Meanwhile, the ownership is legally protected in highly secretive jurisdictions where it's practically impossible to litigate. Would you like to have safe, hidden, and untouchable wealth? Your Wealth Fortress is a free report from Liberty Mundo that will show you how you can protect your assets. You'll learn unique and valuable strategies for keeping your assets untouchable and untrackable by anyone. You could have millions, even billions of dollars, and nobody would know it, find it, or touch it. Not with a team of the best global lawyers, not with the most powerful government on their side. And when you die, it will pass quietly, unnoticed, and untaxed to your heirs. It's all detailed in our special report titled Your Wealth Fortress: Bulletproof Structures to Protect Your Assets. Please follow the link in the description to get instant access and start implementing the strategies to protect your assets.